Welcome, everybody. I've got a special guest for you, Christine Haas, and we've been friends for, I don't know, it was before COVID, I
Yeah,
think.
it was. Yeah, for sure. I think we met out in California, right?
We did. It was this event where you had a lot of influencers. I don't remember what the heck it was called. Something, I don't know, but it was great. I learned from you when
Yeah.
I listened, and I was very impressed. And I thought I need to bring Christine in a few times. So we've done this for Success Magazine. We've done this for Lab Coats a few times. And I'm impressed because the thing you talk about is the one thing that is just not going to change at all. You can have tools that change on how to do it, but man, like I need PR. I always need PR no matter what I'm doing. And here's where I want to start, Christine, because I think you've noticed this because you live in this world.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with AI, it's becoming a lot easier to create, build things and try to sell them. But the one thing that you can't really do a great job with is building an audience if you're terrible at it. And that's where I think PR comes into play. Because if I've got an audience, I can sell the thing I built. Without it, I can't do anything. I have to pay for it. Are you watching the same thing, like that audience be more and more important?
Well, yes. And what's so fascinating is that AI has given a whole new component of PR. And I say that because it is a very big, if not one of the most important parts of being cited or recommended by LLMs and Google AI overviews. And so most people don't even realize it. One of the mentors that I've learned from, I know you know Neil Patel, one of the best marketers in the world, right?
Yeah.
Worldwide company. He actually started a PR division of his marketing company because he saw that earned media and frankly any media, if it's done strategically, will actually help people rank in a way that has never been possible with traditional
Mm.
SEO. So
Oh, that's a
we've
smart
seen
idea, Christine. You
it's
just gave me another idea. I'm gonna
it's
write
so
that.
exciting. I mean, I just can't, I go off on tangents. I've always been into AI, as I know you have, and you've really led the pack, especially for your group and then real estate overall, but helping people see how to use AI. In this case, a lot of people were like, oh, everybody's writing with AI and it's just annoying. Actually, if you use citations from earned media or strategic press releases and you know your messaging, you can train the AI to recommend you. We've done it in a week for lawyers who were not ranked at all. It's remarkable.
All right. I have a lot of questions just on that.
I'm
But
ready for it. Yeah.
can you give me your background so for those that are listening in, they'll get to know you as well?
Yes, yes. I spent my career in television as a news anchor and investigative reporter. And then, about 12 years ago, stepped aside and started a PR and branding agency and doing, videos and storytelling through that lens and helping brands really tell their own story. And then I also do crisis management. But ultimately, what do? We use media exposure to get people better recognition and more clients.
I like that. All right. So how have you pivoted in the last 2, 3 years with AI? What have you added? What are you doing differently that it's helped you?
Right. Well, I used to, especially the old school journalist in me, I would say press releases are only for fires and breaking news and that type of thing. And we're not talking like the $95 press release type of stuff that you see online all the time, but
Yes.
strategically using press releases, earned media really is a big thing that's changed in the last 2 years for brands. Because I always tell people to think of it like you're training AI robot, your individual robot. How do you want it to talk about you? And if it can't recognize you, and when your name or when your ideal customer asks a question, really keywords are gone. It's about what is your ideal customer asking when they're going into ChatGPT or now Google overview. It might be, I need a really good real estate agent for such and such. I have kids in a good school district. Who's the best? And then it will go through and mine for that. You can't advertise your way out of LLMs. At least, well, ChatGPT just started ads, and that's a whole other story. But you have to be recommended. So what we do is we have taken this process, and I've learned from Neil Patel and plenty others who are amazing. What does LLM look for in order to cite or rank you? And so we reverse engineer that. And usually, believe it or not, it's Reddit, it's earned media, it's press releases. Now, again, back to that subject of press releases, I can't stand them typically. But the reason why they're working here is because they land, if they're done like Associated Press style, which is my news background, if they're written strategically and they're landing on big platforms like ABC, NBC, CBS, Associated Press, the AI trusts it just like it would in media story.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then if we're looking at locally as agents, because we're all over the map here, what are some things that we should be doing locally, either with press releases or getting ahead of the questions that are being asked so that we show up better? How does that look for a brokerage, a team, and individual agents?
I'm glad you asked. We just opened up this group coaching program where we're training people of all walks of life. And it's really fun because it's really like a recipe at the end of the day. So you might have somebody in Omaha, Nebraska, or you might have somebody who wants to rank in New York City. How do you figure out the recipe, so to speak? And so what that answer really comes down to is what exact questions are your ideal clients asking? So it could be in Omaha, counties, or cities, specific subdivisions. Those are the things that you want to rank for. Now, what does that mean? How do you get in there? Well, your websites, your blog posts on your website, your press releases, your earned media, if your name is consistent with that community and it's showing up with that in that community, you will rank for that community. So for example, an attorney we just started working with last month, he heard, and we're doing it for him. He's not doing it with us, but we're doing that. And what we did is we were he was spending a ton of money on Google AdWords for big rig trucks, right? That's the big one for an attorney. In a city like Houston, that's very expensive. He was not showing up in LLMs, even though he was ranking on Google, like the traditional SEO, but he wasn't showing up in LLMs.
Okay.
Following this recipe by looking specifically of what his ideal clients were asking in LLM, we were able to train the robot, and he now ranks number 2 in less than 2 weeks of doing this, number 2 as the recommended attorney for those questions being answered in LLMs, Claude, Google AI Overview, and ChatGPT. Unbelievable that we were able to do it. I was even shocked. But if you follow the exact recipe, it works whether you're in Omaha or Houston, Texas. You can get ahead of the people who have been doing this for decades. You might think, oh, well, so-and-so has this huge SEO background. They're already too strong. No, you can hack into this. We had a real estate education company. They're basically training people on HELOCs and that type of thing. I was able to get his platform in financial education to rank with Dave Ramsey.
No way.
And he's never been ranking in LLMs before. I mean, it's on my social media. I don't know if you saw the Facebook post, but I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my God, we did it, And again, I always lead with this though. There are unicorn businesses that everybody was talking about in AI a month ago with huge valuations going out of business overnight because some algorithm changed or Claude and ChatGPT Anthropic added that function to ChatGPT. So this is working now. The job is full time to see what continues working, but it's really about reverse engineering where the LLMs are pulling from and then going from there and training that source with content.
All right, I've got more questions, but also got a question from somebody here. Amanda is asking, How do you know if you're ranking with LLM or not?
Yeah, a lot of it is just really going in and asking yourself as if you were an ideal client. So if you're a realtor in Austin, Texas, right? What would your typical client go for? And so you would go in and go right to Claude or ChatGPT or Google and say, who's the best realtor I'm in Austin, Texas. So it might be in Circle C neighborhood. That's a big subdivision outside of Austin, South Austin. It might be something like that. I always tell people that, especially in this situation where you're looking at pocket neighborhoods, try to go for those pocket neighborhoods because that's where you're going to easily rank. Instead of saying, oh, I want to be the best realtor in Austin. Yeah, you can. But if you get really niche into the areas that you really serve and look at that as to what your client is asking, go right now and challenge your AI and look and see if you come up. And if you don't, this is where that work comes from. Most people don't realize that they're non-existent at all. And shockingly enough, and this is really easy, obviously you can see if you know the formula, but if you get in early, it sets the foundation, number one. But number two, people are just finding out about this. People are just now waking up going, oh my God, now my Google search is really turning into an AI search. And what am I going to do?
That's it. And here's a question I have, and maybe everyone else has it or thought about it as well. So I've known you for a long time, and everything we've talked about is on point. Every time you tell me something, like I what was it, like a month ago, I said, hey, where do I go to do this thing?
Yeah.
You told me, we did it, we showed up, which thank you, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm looking at this as a real estate agent, and I'm just looking at my notes, the press releases that you're talking about, I've seen those, and yes, they're annoying, but they work, right? How should I look at those as a real estate agent? Am I looking to write it myself, send it to one of the press release websites, or have them write it? And what do I have them write?
Yeah, so that is a really good question, and I'm glad you asked it. So we kind of go through this in our coursework. How do you think like a journalist? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to write a press release about, John Smith is the most amazing realtor, says John Smith, right? So what do you do?
Problem.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes it difficult. You want to get some media if you can. That's number one. If you can get earned media. So, for example, one of our clients got cited as one of the top people to watch in the medical industry for a specific thing by MSN. And then he also had something in Newsweek. We did a press release about how he was named best in one specific area. So we used it as a double whammy, so to speak, to really get the algorithm to recognize him as top or best or something of that nature. That's a really good example of using media and then using a press release to announce that you have the media, kind of like, oh, yes, so-and-so is on top of the trend. The other thing that I would suggest, so for example, what we did with the attorney in Houston, when it's like, what's your moneymaker? What do you really want to focus on? Well, for an attorney, big rig trucks are areas where they really want to help with, because obviously the financial benefit of those cases really helps everybody. So what did we do? We didn't do, hey, he's the best big rig accident attorney. What I did is I thought like a journalist and said, okay, let's look at the statistics of what's happening with trends of big rig accidents in Houston. And so once I pulled those numbers, I said, okay, now I want you to comment on what you see right now overall statistically. So what I did is I had him forward thinking as a thought leader about big rig accidents in his press releases. So it was like, this law firm is saying that they expect over the summer X, Y, and Z because the statistics show X, Y, and Z. What happens is that way it shows up as a news story. And at the same time, he's a thought leader. And the words that we want him to answer, big rig accident, he's right there.
Okay, I like it. You gave me an idea. And I thank you. What I'm looking at now, you tweaked my way of looking at this.
Good.
If I'm, let's say, in I'm just gonna pick close to I'm Thousand Oaks, California.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking at this. I primarily help sellers who are, let's say, 55 or older. That's my niche. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I'm thinking, well, what local news or maybe combining national news that has to do with that group can I
Yes.
grab and write about it? And then obviously I'm giving that information that's trending and that has to do with that group. Now, if I put it out there in a PR piece, it's actually news that people want to read. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
well, there's a lot of equity, right?
Yes.
55 and older are holding on to their properties a lot more. Let's get some details on that.
That's
Let's
right.
write it out, and then let's give advice on what to do, and then people will be like, "Oh, this person knows what they're talking about." What
That
is
in
that what you're talking about?
Absolutely, yes. And also thinking about until I'm blue in the face, I think you heard me when we first met talking about, okay, so what makes a really good news story? Journalists, regardless of what you think about the media, journalists are hungry for news stories, good news stories. And what makes a good news story? Well, certainly something that educates, something that might surprise somebody. I always look at like, okay, so if you see a statistic, a news headline that comes out and say, Austin, Texas, we're seeing, I'm just making this up, foreclosures are through the roof. But you know that that's not the case in your area. You're like,
Mm,
I'm not seeing that at all. Like, this is baloney. So what do? You find somebody, you always want to be the thought leader. It's the old hero's journey. You want to be the expert if you're presenting yourself that way. And you want to provide the news also with somebody that you've helped. So maybe it's like, hey, John Smith, reporter, I saw this headline in Austin and I saw this and I thought, I'm a realtor in
oh,
Westlake area. I've got a client that I'm helping. I would love to have you out. We are not seeing foreclosures in our area. Would you like to do the story? We're available between 1 and 3 on Tuesday. You always want to package it up and do their job for them, essentially. And then they want that. Or if you're seeing an example of a trend and you want to give them a day in the life, you can do that too. But just
interesting.
try to add value to whatever it might be, because that's what they want. They're not going to regurgitate something that they've already done. You got to put a new spin or a different spin on it.
Okay, I like that. All right, question from Andrea. What's up, Andrea? What can you tell us about how searches show up in different LLMs for different people searching? In other words, what each one of us searches, it will come up different, or when each one of us searches, it will come up differently.
Right. It is. Okay. That could be and this is the AI expert too. That could be ultimately because you're not in a new chat or your AI is already remembering your location or something like that. It's kind of like going to an incognito window on Google, right? You
Yeah.
don't want it to remember something. So if you're in a place where AI, and a lot of people don't even realize this, and that's why ChatGPT is doing ads, and they're going to be powerful, by the way. It remembers what you're talking about. So you want to clear that out in your settings so that way that in itself is always remembering you if you want it to, or not remembering certain things about what you've searched. That's one element of why somebody might get something that's different than what you're searching for with the same searches, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I
Yeah.
like that. Would you reverse engineer it ever? Like, so let's say we figure out a topic like you're talking about, and let's go with your attorney. He wants to do what was it, trucking, right?
Yes.
The truck.
Yeah.
So he writes a few different blogs with the help of AI, with the right structure, and then you see it gets picked up on the Google overview, the AI overview. It's like, oh, damn, this is working. Would you take that and then have it go into a PR session, or could you do it that way instead of the other way around? Do you do them at the same time? I just want to understand the process so we can do a better job.
Right. It would be, there's a couple of different ways you can look at that. Yes, you could. I wouldn't depend on AI overall to determine what you're going to pitch for a news story. But I would do a news story and make sure that you put it on all of your platforms. So I'm kind of giving you all the insight here of what we teach. But one thing that you really want to make sure is that one of the key parts of people not ranking, regardless of having all of the right things, is if there's problems with schema on their website, or your subject matter or what you're known for is not classified properly. So if you're a consultant or a coach, and just think about it, you're training a robot. And if the robot can't figure out who the heck you are, because on LinkedIn it says you're a consultant, over here it says you have an e-commerce company, and now you're a realtor, all of those things aren't matching up. So AI is going, I have no idea if that's the same person. So I'm going to go with the person who makes it easier for me. So you want everything to match up. So same thing with the media. If you do a news story, you want as fast as possible to get that on your website, get it on your social media, and getting it, as conversation, all those places. So AI can go, oh yeah, ABC just featured this person. And it's the same person as this website and the same person as this person on this other social media. You just want to make it as easy as you can for the robot. AI is brilliant, but basically you have to treat it like it's dumb. You're going to go, here's the trust point. Here are all the areas that show you can trust me. These all match up. I am the same person. This is what I do. Otherwise, it will rank somebody higher if all of those things are answered easier.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I put up your website link there. I want to ask, well, we've got a question from Natalia. Natalia, I'll get to you. Good question. If people go to you for help, what are the different options you offer for help? What does that look like?
Right. Right now, we just opened up a group coaching, and that's actually, we're getting a wait list together, and that's going to start in 2 weeks. So I do have, and I can put it in the show notes later on if they want to.
If you have a link, give it to me. I can type it up.
Okay. You know what? The probably easiest is because I don't have it ready in front of me.
I'll blast it out to everybody who registered.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can do that. But also, so I'm helping people learn how to do this for themselves and how to pitch the media. And it's an program. But at the same time, we do it for people who are like, I'm too busy. I just want you to help us out. And it's frustrating because you're probably seeing it over and over again where obviously what I do, but algorithm shows me a bunch of ads, and it's people who are like, I can get you ranked #1 in 7 days. Here's the thing, they can get you ranked maybe for your name. Like say, for example, Tristan, your name is very individual, right? And so what they're doing is they're saying, okay, for $500, I'm going to give you a bunch of links and we're going to get you to the top for your name. But most people aren't coming, well, you're different because you're like celebrity status, but most people don't know the name when they're searching for something. They're going with a problem. They're going intent to buy or intent to find somebody. And the person is not necessarily by name. It's about who's being recommended to answer the problem that they're going to. Because, that's different. There could be a John Smith on every corner, but there's only a few people in Austin, Texas that, are recommended for top real estate in a good school district under $500,000, something like that.
I like that. So you're solving the problem that's going to be asked. And the thing is,
exactly,
that problem is continuous. So we just have to pay attention.
Yes. And I would say, not to disparage anybody, but it's kind of like those cheap cheap press releases. Don't waste your money on a bunch of backlinks for the very reason I'm telling you. Like, learn how to do it and really research making it last, because it's a gimmick just to rank for your own name, unless you want customers, right? We all want clients. We want people to see us to solve a problem, not just for name recognition. At least that's not my goal.
I agree. It's a very long-term process. Natalia, thanks for being on, Natalia. What platforms are you using to post your stories? Can you please name some of them, Christine?
post stories for like news stories or
just like stories in general? Do you use a blog? Do you go to Instagram? Anything like that?
Yeah. Honestly, the majority of the power comes from making sure your bio and everything matches up. So your Instagram bio should say exactly what you do and who you serve. And answer, if you can, in a small amount, answer the question that you're trying to, give to your ideal customer and train the LLM. Your LinkedIn should be exact. So where you post your stories and that type of thing really isn't as important as making sure that everything matches. And then now, if the question is about where do you post stories that have been on the news, absolutely, it should be on your website. It should be on your LinkedIn. It should be on your social media. Yes, you want to blow that up. The other thing that, it's kind of the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about. We all are surprised that Reddit has so much power.
Yeah.
Reddit has tremendous power. And a big portion of what I've been doing in my work lately has been reputation management, because there's a lot of power in people going on Reddit and complaining and doing bad reviews on somebody. And so what happens? People spend a ton of money on ads on Meta. And they get in there and they're like, man, I really like this guy. I might consider this. I've seen his ad a few times. This looks pretty good. Who is this guy? They go to ChatGPT, they search, and then what happens? That person comes up with bad reviews on Reddit like that. And what happens? You lose the customer. So people are bleeding out on ad spend because of these problems where Reddit is really becoming the source. Now, that can be bad, but it also can be good. I tell people, much like a Quora, you should try to do a subreddit for your own brand or your own company and go start authoring educational content.
I like that. Or even a subreddit for, I didn't think about this until you said it, but a subreddit for your city, for the area that you're in.
For real estate, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. Never sound salesy, obviously. Never. Always educate. Lead with just giving content so you don't get yourself banned from Reddit. But the fresher content gets more attention as well from AIs. So if you do have bad stuff out there, the key is build new stuff that will draw new eyeballs, even the attention of AI and LLMs.
Agreed. I like that. All right, everybody. I did put Christine's website there if you want to take a look at it, and then we will blast out to everybody what her landing page is. She's going to send that over to us. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. We should do this more like quarterly so that we stay up to date with all the changes.
Well, and I love that you're so into the trends of helping people understand how to use AI. I was just at a legal conference, and I know we're tight on time, but I was just at a big legal conference this past week. And some of the most astute attorneys are still learning how to use ChatGPT and Claude. Very basic stuff. And it made me realize, just when I feel like I don't know enough, there are a lot of people just starting. And I think you break it down so well. I just saw your most recent YouTube video about ChatGPT and Claude, helping people understand the positives and negatives of each platform. You're doing great work. You really are.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. Please jump on that link. Go visit Christine. If you have any questions on how to reach her, just message me. Thanks for being on, everybody.